Hello, yes, once again. So I was doing part 3 of why singing didn't happen and what actually happened. And I was outside and my battery went low. So to retrack, this guy I was dating, and you'll have to watch part 1 and part 2 to see what I'm talking about, who I call Y. He was putting together his band and his music project, and I was dating him while he was doing this. And as I said, I went to audition for his band, and I've already stated how getting to know him, I came to understand and realise we just had musical difference of interest. So he carried on. He was continuing with whatever he was doing with his music, and I was dating him, so sometimes we'd talk and discuss about stuff. And he had it in his head. He had two things actually throughout the relationship. He had one thing in his head that I was just jealous. I was very jealous of him, and I was jealous of him doing his music. He'd always say, "Oh, you're jealous." He'd always say this. And the other thing was, especially in the earlier stages, the earlier days, he had it in his head that I didn't like his music, because we'd have discussions, and I say to him, it's not that I don't like your music, I don't like your sound, it's just I don't see where you're going with it. I'd say things like this to him. So, for example, he had this thing about, saying, oh, he's not really into commercial music, and I'm into like commercial music, and he wants his music more to represent like harmoniousness and not all this manufactured, like being made in the industry type of thing, that it should be more live and involve more like live instrumentation, and being more live is more closer to nature and it's more harmonious. And he just had this thing about commercial music being manufactured and being made in the studio, and the whole industry thing about it. He'd talk about these sorts of things, which I heeded and I could understand. I listened to and I understood and I got. But his music at the time, it was more like world. I would class it as more world music. It was more sort of like world and experimental. You couldn't really categorize it into a category like, oh, it's Latin funk, or it's neo soul, or it's like rock music or grunge, or it was different. It was definitely more live, with more live instrumentation, but I just, it was more sort of like experimental. I just classed it as like experimental music. So that's where I used to say to him, it's not that I don't like it, it's just that I don't see what it is you want to do with it, or where you're going with it. And another thing I used to say to him was, I do like your music. It sounds to me more like outdoor music. That was it. I used to say to him, it's more like, to me, it sounds more like outdoor music, not festival music. I could hear it being performed at like festivals, So these are the kinds of things we used to talk about. He just, I don't know, I think he just thought I just didn't like his music or something, which that wasn't the point. Yeah. So he got this singer in his band, and she was this African lady, dark-skinned lady. And when I heard what she did on his tracks, I used to say, for example, say if her name was like Sandra Bob, for example, I used to say to him, oh, like when he'd go and meet up with her and the band for his rehearsals, I'd say to him, oh, you're going to go meet your Sandra Bob. Yeah, and I'd be like, I'd say to him, "Oh, so what's so fantastic about this Sandra Bob?" Because not that music is all about looks and appearance, but I just used to think, okay, well, I wasn't good enough for your band, and I just used to listen to her voice on his tracks and see her, and I just used to think, what's so amazing about this woman? Like, her voice wasn't really that amazing, and she wasn't really like appearance wise. I'm not saying she was ugly or anything like that. I'm not being cruel or anything, but I just was like, what's so amazing about this woman? Like, what's so much better about her that you chose her to be to be in your band, like over me? This is what I used to think. So then I'd say it to him and say, okay, so what's so fantastic about your Sandra Bob? Yeah, like this. About your Nigerian Sandra Bob. Yeah, what's so great about her then? I'd say to him like this. But as I said in the previous video, I came to understand, I think it was her lyrics and the kind of vibe that she had and the things she was talking about in the songs, in the lyrics that she came up with, was more pertaining to his vibe and his style, which was all to do with like, peace and love and justice and revolution, and this kind of thing. So, and by the way, I haven't said what he was, so I would say he was like European, Mediterranean, okay, because I haven't actually said that. Yeah. So then, I started to understand, okay, well, that's what it is, that she's more inclined to the kind of thing that he wants to represent in his music. So it's like, fair enough. I can understand that. But yeah, I just used to say to him, oh, so, oh, you're going to meet your Sandra Bob? Oh, what's so fantastic about your Sandra Bob? Like this, yeah, I used to say to him. Anyway. So, yeah, and that his music, as I said, it just was like, it was experimental, it was like this kind of thing, And I said, so I got to a point where I was doing my music and I let him hear my songs that I'd been working on. And as I said, when I let him listen, he just went quiet for a little bit and then he just was like, do you know what? I'm changing all the lineup of my musicians, of my singers and everything. I'm changing the whole band. And I was just like, okay. Fair dues. I have to pause this live. As I said in my last video, so after this kind of, I think it was about 2 months I didn't see him, and then he changed the whole lineup of his band, and then he was showing me the videos of his new music and the new style of his music. And as I said, it was much more like funkier, much more lively, and he had a brand new singer. And the singer that he had, she was much younger. She was a student and she was mixed race. She was really good singer. She really complimented the band and the music, and she had the whole thing going on, like with her moves and her style and everything like this. And he showed it me, but it was just his whole demeanour. As I said, it was just almost a bit like I could already preempt him, just this smarminess. And like him just like letting me, like, it was just his whole way of going about it. Like, he just went off, done his thing on the down low, as if he was doing it all in secret. And then the way he came back, and I was like, oh yeah, like, oh, listen to this, or listen to my new sound now, look what I've got now, look how good it is now, yeah, or look at my new singer now. And as I said, he was always just like, oh, you're jealous, aren't you? Oh, you're jealous. And I do admit, this time around, when I heard the music and I saw his new singer, how good she was, I did actually like get envious. I did feel jealous but it wasn't just the jealousness that I was feeling. It was just his whole attitude and his whole behaviour and his whole demeanour. The way he went about it was as if he was trying to get me jealous. So. And it worked, because I did get jealous. And it wasn't just jealousy, it was like, I just felt, I don't think I'd felt before, I just felt like wounded. You know, I felt really like gutted because I just saw it and I just was like, you know, that's supposed to be me. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, that's how I felt, that's how I was feeling. So, and it was like, yeah, he won. You know, it was like that kind of feeling. You know? So, this is what was, and the thing is, I always remember the day that he came around and was showing me all his videos of all his new songs, and it was like the very next day, it was on the news how Whitney Houston passed away. So, yeah. So that was that, and so that, yeah, I was saying there's like a few different various scenarios that I want to talk about in terms of this situation. So that was one scenario, and so around this time, my brother met somebody new, a new female, and obviously, like, he was introducing her to the family, and somewhere down the line I met her, and she was really good singer. Well, she is a really good, like, she's got an amazing voice. And what is my brother, he produces music, and some of the shows I've done before, it was like his music with my vocals on top of his music. The music that he produced was like this ambient sounding music. I put the lyrics and the vocals to, so he made some tracks like that. And so my brother had met this female, and then somehow the discussions came about that I think maybe we just met up, and I don't know, maybe we were talking or something, and I realised she sang and she realised that I sang, and I don't actually remember how it came about, but we started talking about maybe, you know, working on some stuff together, like the three of us doing like singing with my brother's tracks like this. And I was just like, okay, yeah, cool, yeah, whatever. And I used to say to my brother, I'd be like, are you dating her? Is she your new girlfriend? You know, because I myself wanted to know if I'm going to get involved with this person and my brother, I want to know what I'm getting involved with. Like, I don't want to be just feeling like the tag-along person or the clown if actually you and her are actually like getting it on with each other. You know, like, that's just going to make me feel like a dodo. Like, if that's how it is, then just let me know. Not that I'm prying into your business, but if the three of us are gonna be doing like music and stuff together, then I need to know, like, is this your new woman? Yeah, like, to me that's just a normal thing to ask. You know, I wasn't being weird. That's just a normal thing to want to know. And he was like, "No, we're just friends." No, it's not like that. It's nothing. Like, we're just friends. And I'd be like, "Are you sure, Leon? Because, you know, are you sure? Or are you dating her? Is she like your new girlfriend?" No, she's not my new girlfriend. We're just friends." So I was like, okay. So the three of us would, like, for example, one time I remember I had a friend who lived like West Brom sides, Sandwell and Dudley sides, who was a music producer. So, for example, one time we went over to his place to produce some music, do some singing and producing and this and that. And other times, you know, we'd go and, for example, my brother, he had this female friend who was a drummer. So on another occasion, maybe we went along and like met her and done some stuff like this. You know, like my brother's friends, my friends, we were just, as I said, testing out ideas, trying stuff out. But then what happened was, it almost as if it started to become a competition between myself and my brother's missus. And I think eventually he did confess and say, well, yeah, we are, like, we're seeing each other. And I was like, why you just didn't say that in the first place? It was their business, whatever. They was just keeping it on the down low and whatever. But I just kind of felt like, well, as I said, I wanted to know myself, like, what I was getting involved with. Like, I just felt like I think that was the start of me feeling just like there was just like playing me or something, when you just feel like you're being played by people. So what I'm saying is, as the time is going along, this is how I'm just starting to feel like I'm approaching people like genuinely, to collaborate or work on something, being quite genuine and open, and I was just feeling like these people, eventually I just started to feel like the person I was supposed to be dating, and then like my brother and this new person in his life, it was like they was just playing me, so and they're just like playing me like a clown or something. That's how I just started to feel. So the 10 songs that I had, some of them were my brother's tracks with my vocals. What it is, I had one album which was previous songs that I'd worked on with my brother producing the music. So for example, I had 5 songs like that. And I had another set of 5 songs which were my own songs, which were I wanted more like live instrumentation for these songs, because they were more funk, soul. So I had the songs with my brother's music, which was more like ambient electronica type of dance vibes, like disco dance electronica vibes. And then I had my own songs, which were more like funk soul, which required more like live music instrumentation. So as I said, these are the things that I was working on and approaching various people to negotiate and network and collaborate with on. So when he came round to my place and he was showing me all his new videos and his new music with the new singer, and I was saying, it was almost as if he was always trying to get me jealous, and on this occasion it worked, because I did get quite jealous. And I just had this gutted feeling, like I'd just been wounded and gutted. And what it was another thing that he would say to me was that I think in his mind, his view was that I was his girlfriend, and that he wanted me, what he wanted from me was that supportive person, because that's what he would say. He would say, you don't support me and you don't support my music, and I think by support he meant coming along, like when he'd have gigs, or I think what it was, he was quite social and he liked to go out of a night time to these live gigs and live shows and stuff like this. And obviously, me being his girlfriend, dating him, obviously he wanted me to accompany him and come along. And on some occasions I did, and we did go out together. But on other occasions, I didn't like go out with him all on every occasion. And I think on the occasions that I didn't, I think in deep down he was really resenting the fact that I didn't, but he wasn't verbally expressing that. So maybe I didn't realise and understand how much he was actually resenting me for not coming along. But I think what it was, I think the longer we were together, I think what it was that I started to understand that for him, going out wasn't just about going out. Like, it wasn't just about going out and spending time with me and sharing and having that good time together. It was more so a networking business event for himself and his music. So, and I think that was the reason why on many occasions I didn't go along, because that's what it would have been. It would have been me just tagging along just for me to make him look good, you know, so that he could be given that attention. Oh, this is your girlfriend, but then go and take the attention and go and like basically ignore me and use the night as like a networking night for himself and his music. And this was in his mind, this was his idea of me supporting him, you know. Or for example, if he arranged an event and maybe you made some t-shirts with his logo of his band on them for me to, you know, be wearing the t-shirt and, you know, going around and like handing out flyers and this kind of thing for his music. I think he saw me in that supportive role. Whereas I wanted to be involved, you know, not just like being like your fan or your groupie or something. You know, that to me is just like being somebody's fan, you know, or being somebody's groupie. And I think that's basically what he wanted from me, was to be like his groupie. You know? So when he got this new liner and this new singer, whatever else, I felt actually gutted and wounded, like I said. And I think I really, at that time, I think I just made the decision in my mind to just swallow my pride. I think I just said, you know what? The passion of the wound that I was feeling, it's like I took it like this and I went and swallowed and pushed it down. I said, you know what? I really have to swallow my pride, because I've made my choice, you know, and my choice was to date this dude and be this dude's girlfriend. So now I have to live with that choice that I made. And I think I just really felt like I had to swallow my pride, and I almost just became very like, okay, well, he's got me in this role, and now I just have to go along with this role of being like the little woman, who just sits next to a man, you know. And I think for a time I just kind of became like that. I think I took such like I just swallowed it all. I literally swallowed my pride. I had to swallow my pride and say, okay, well, he's got me in this role, yeah, of like the little woman, yeah, and so now that's what I have to be, is like his woman. Just be the woman, you know, just be like the woman sitting by his side. I don't know. It's the best way that I can explain it right now. But as I said, this was around the time what was going on was when I was starting to get my own band together and trying to do my own thing with my music, as well as, you know, I had other things that I was doing as well, you know. And in the midst of all this was, like I said, when I started working with my brother and his missus, and we started like, not collaborating, but I don't know, just sort of working on certain stuff, you know, just messing around, you know, this sort of thing, seeing if anything was gonna become of anything, you know. So as for my brother and his girlfriend at the time, what I mean is, I think I just was feeling as if now the competition started coming. My brother and his girlfriend at the time, what I mean is, I think I just was feeling as if now the competition started coming. I just, and oh, she thinks she's singer. And then with that, what came was like the competition and challenge. I think I just started to feel like I was being challenged. So my brother and his girlfriend, they met this singer. And again, really, Birmingham, it's got a lot of amazing talent in the West Midlands. There's a lot of creative people. A lot of like amazing. I'm surprised more famous people don't come out of the West Midlands. We've just had like Jamelia, and that's about it. I don't know anybody else more recent. I don't really keep up these days because since everything's gone online and it's gone so much like social media based, I really don't keep up. But there probably has been. Actually, there was a singer the other day, wasn't there? Who's become quite famous. She's from Sutton Coldfield or something. But West Midlands does have a lot of amazing talent. So them two, my brother and his girlfriend, they started going around with this other chick, a talented chick, who played guitar, and they started like collaborating more with her. And they met this other chick who played the drums, and they must have been rehearsing with each other, and they started to play some gigs in like around the Chinese Quarter in the gay village. They started like doing this kind of thing, which I'm really not on here. I really don't mean to sound like a bitter, jealous, envious bitch, because that isn't the point. Anybody in this world can, good for them. Gong ho, they got on with things, good for them. My brother is very talented as well. Like, I'm on here, big up my brother as well. He's very talented. I've met many talented, creative people, and it's great to, put your creative talents out there. Share with other people you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think what I'm trying to say, my point was, I'd done certain stuff which had got certain recognition, and I think around this stage when I was trying to pursue my music, I was just starting to feel as if all the competition was coming, and I was just being challenged, and these people coming into my life acting as if they wanted to do something with me, like creatively, but they were just sort of utilising my energy to take it, utilise it, and swan off and go and big themselves up and do things with other people. And then kind of come in my face and act all like smarmy, like, well, this is what we're doing, and like, well, who are you? What are you doing? Who are you? Sort of thing. This was like the vibe that I was getting from these people. So yeah. In saying all of that, there were times as well where, I don't want to just make it sound as if, I was just having this, I don't want to sound as if I'm just being like a really bitter, jealous bitch, because I set out to have fun, meet people, and that's what I was doing, I was having a good time as well, and this previous person who I was dating, I'm glad I met him, and we shared many good, fun times together. It wasn't just all like a drone hone or boohoo. It wasn't really like that. And there were times when there is a very creative hub community in Birmingham. There were times when we did come together, and I felt very included, very involved, and we'd all share and watch each other perform and support each other. In other words, is what I'm trying to say. There were times like that as well, where we were all very supportive of one another. But what I'm saying is, my experience was, particularly with this dude, was that there would be times like that where we'd maybe arrange a festival or a gig, and he would perform with his band, you know, and I would perform as well. Like there was one occasion I was doing tarot reading. He was like performing with his music, and I was like hosting the event, you know, and I decided to do some like tarot card reading, you know, and I made a bit of money from it, you know. So we did, you know, I'm saying there were times where I felt very included. You know, I was included and involved as well, you know, and happy and sharing and, you know, having good times. But what I found was, whenever it was like this and there was any little tiny ounce of attention on myself, this dude, as I said, I call him Y, what he would do was he would just like go out of my life for about 3 weeks. So it was like a power control thing that he was doing. Yeah, it's like he always wanted to take back that power, that control, because that is what he would do. We'd be getting on, we'd be having a great time. He'd be doing his thing, I'd be doing my thing. But it was like whenever I got that tiny ounce of attention, he'd retract all of that, pull back, disappear for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then what would happen is he'd totally change up his whole lineup. When he'd re-enter my life, he'd just have a total new lineup of like a whole new social circle, like a whole new set of friends or set of band members. Or another thing he would do was, or he would just change address and be like, oh yeah, I've been away because I've moved from that place and I'm living here now instead. So it was like me being with him, if I was ever getting comfortable with him and getting comfortable with his network of people, like his friends, he would soon just switch it all up, change it all up, disappear and come back, and he'd have like a whole new set of like, you know. So this in itself creates this, you're never settled. If somebody's being this like manipulative, and you're with that person, this means you're never settled with that person. There's always this inconsistency going on with yourself and the people that you're around and your environment, you know, and the person that you're supposed to be like in this like rapport relationship with. It's always like unsettled and imbalanced and inconsistent, and that's the effect that he tended to manipulate, to create. So that is my point. The point that I'm trying to make is not just this fact of like, oh, if I was jealous or if I wasn't jealous. It was just, he just kept doing these tactics of always manipulating the energies, you know, and manipulating the relationship, you know. That is what I'm talking about. That is what I want to emphasize in this video. But on that note, I've said all that I have to say at the moment. Thank you very much for joining my live. If you are in my live, can you please like my live? Let's get the likes up. And this is a rant. This rant is called Why Singing Didn't Happen and What Actually Happened. And you can see part 1 and part 2 of this rant on my YouTube channel, which is called Lifestyle Chav Chat YouTube channel. And I will mention also, if you would like to book a reading with myself, a tarot reading, or a life coach session reading, then DM me and let me know. DM me your name and your telephone number and let me know. But on that note, I'm coming off this live now. Thank you very much for joining. Adios. Bye bye. Oh, what kind of silly timer is that?